Clinton and the new team to figure out how all of this stuff applies. So I think it's a good question, and it's one I'll take back with me.
Other questions? Sí. Vamos a Honduras primero y después, sí.
Sí, muy buenos días. Definitivamente el haber asesorado al presidente Obama, me imagino que para ustedes fue un gusto porque era un producto fácil de vender, si lo llamamos así. Ustedes hicieron un sondeo virtual al plantear el retiro de las tropas de Norteamérica de Irak. La pregunta va más que todo dirigida porque me imagino que no fue un tema fácil, dada la seguridad de Estados Unidos y bueno, los atentados perpetrados en aquel país. Entonces, la pregunta es si ustedes hicieron un sondeo para tomar la decisión del retiro de las tropas de Irak, porque tengo entendido que la población de Estados Unidos estaba dividida. Por un lado, el temor a perder su seguridad y por el otro lado, ¿verdad?, el problema humanitario que existe en aquel país. No sé si estoy clara.
Yeah, something may have gotten lost there, but I think that if what I'm hearing is correct, you're asking about the withdrawal from Iraq. Barack Obama has been very clear from the beginning about his position on the war from before it started and his plans for what would happen after. And I think that one of the advantages and one of the things that's the same in the offline world as it is with the online world is that notion of speaking very frankly to people and speaking in an authentic way. And so even when people disagree with him, they understand where he's coming from. And I think through the campaign and also since he's been in office, a restoration of a civil conversation about very important and challenging issues. And that authenticity that we tried to bake into everything we did on the campaign is something that builds confidence in him and allows him to take sometimes tough decisions.
Thank you. Señor.
Thank you. Roberto Gallardo from Costa Rica. What do you think is the main difference between this campaign, the use of IT technologies in this campaign, compared to, say, the Kerry campaign, the Dean campaign? It strikes to me that the main difference maybe is the enthusiasm of the people, not the use of the IT. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, obviously Barack Obama is a once-in-a-generation candidate, and the ethos that he brought, as I mentioned, from being a community organizer is a very special asset to have at the top of the organization. However, I also think that we innovated in the sense of how we set up the structure of the organization. In the past on campaigns, the person who was in charge of the online fundraising and organizing was also the person in charge of making sure everyone had a BlackBerry and that they had Microsoft Word on their computers and that they could print. And those roles should not be the same thing. And so by breaking them apart and creating this new media idea, we were able to gain the economies of scale for that enthusiasm. So for every one person who is enthusiastic, I think we got more out of that one person and their enthusiasm than any campaign had prior. And I think every organization has the opportunity to think about the case study is, if you have 10 people in a room, what would you ask them to do, and how many of them could you efficiently put to work? And whether the actual raw number is 13 million people or John Kerry's email list of millions of people or whatever it is, I think in this particular election, we put 8 or 9 of them to work substantively on helping us win. I think the McCain campaign put fewer of their people to work. And I think if you look at the past elections in 2000 and 2004, that equation was different. And that the Republicans actually put more of their people to work than we did in terms of the enthusiasm. I mean, I was there in 2004. It felt like something was going to happen, like that there was going to be some change. And I think that the cultural feelings of enthusiasm about changing course in our country was further ahead than the actual execution and implementation at the ground level. And so what we tried to do was to, as tightly as possible, integrate with the traditional operation and the traditional communications and organizing functions to make sure that we would take as much of that enthusiasm as possible and put it to work. So it's an interesting question, but I think that the innovation clearly isn't the technology per se, right? We have very simple tools that were built over time and customized, but the innovation in the organizational sense of how you structure and the integration of new media into the campaign and the organization was, I think, the big innovation.